Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. My name is Jennifer Shuck. I am a female with red curly hair. I have black framed glasses, and I am wearing a navy blue dress with yellow, white, and gray flowers. My pronouns are she, her, and my background is blurred. I am the chair of the Global Alliance of Speech-to-Text Captioning, and welcome to CapCom 22. Please put in the chat where you are watching us from. We want to see the global reach. We are streaming on both our YouTube channel and our Facebook page now. CapCom is the event where the captioning community comes together to celebrate the anniversary of the Global Alliance and advancements in communication access. The vision of the Global Alliance is universal accessibility to the spoken word via all forms of captioning. The captioning community is far and wide. It consists of not only captioners, but also consumers, advocates, and frankly, anyone involved in producing or displaying captions. Communication is so important in the world right now with everything that is going on. We have a war, a global pandemic, social justice issues, and natural disasters all occurring at the same time. At least one of these, if not more, likely affects you or someone you love. For those who rely on captioning, and that is the collective we need to make sure that the communication that is being conveyed is accurate and timely. The Global Alliance of Speech-to-Text Captioning is a 100% volunteer-led organization. During the global pandemic, the requests for real-time captioning services dramatically increased. That has kept all of the professionals in the industry very, very busy. During this time, it has been difficult to keep up with all of the activities that the Global Alliance has going on. As you have likely heard me say before, we are a small organization, but we are not small in ideas. We have a lot we want to accomplish. And during this anniversary time of year, I feel like it is the time that we have renewed energy and we gain momentum to move us forward and pick up speed to accomplish even more in the year to come. But I want to start off with some thank yous. Thank you to the fundraising committee, chaired by Sue Sanasian, who is located in Australia, and the other members of the committee, Kimberly Shea, Sabrina Crosby, Jennifer Pearson, Michelle Michaels, Karen Mink, and Raja Kushalnagar. They put together the fitness fundraiser challenge that led up to this event. I hope you followed us on social media and that you helped us raise some money. We have prizes to give away at the end of this event today, so stick around to see if you're a winner. They also planned this event. The Global Alliance strives to make all of their events as accessible as possible. To that end, today we have an ASL interpreter, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us today. We also have human-generated captioning today for our live streams provided by Christine Ailes, who is an NCSP. I will talk more about that in a minute. We also have a second captioner for our green room who is captioning for us behind the scenes today, Jessica Spriggs. Thank you, Jessica, and Chris for making CapCon accessible. This event is a team effort and we could not do it without our sponsor, Access Loop. Today we are using Access Loop to integrate the captioning and the sign language into our Facebook and YouTube streams. Mark Beecher is helping us behind the scenes do all the technical work. We also want to shout out to Dan Dexter and Orla Pearson as well for creating this award-winning platform and making it easy to stream accessible events to online platforms that otherwise are not accessible. Also with me today is Ron Drock, one of our directors on the board. I was thrilled that Ron wanted to join me today. I'm not going to steal his thunder, so Ron, over to you to say a few words. And don't forget to unmute.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody, for being with us this morning. My name is Ron Drock, as Jen mentioned, and I'm an old guy with graying, balding head, dark rim glasses, have a black watch on, and a dark gray, almost black polo shirt. I want to thank everybody for being with us this morning. And I've been a member of the Global Alliance and excuse me, and have served on the board for the last 2 years. My term will expire at our annual meeting later this month. A little background. I was wounded in Vietnam in 1967 and started losing my hearing 31 years later in 1968. My hearing has gotten progressively worse and is to the point now that I rely on hearing aids and captioning. I can barely hear a thing without my hearing aids, although I'm starting to learn how to read lips from my wife when she gets up close enough to me that I can see her lips. I rely on captions for a lot of my daily living. And as Jen mentioned, it's very important for those captioning to be very accurate and also very timely, as close to real time as possible. I first got involved in captioning issues as a consultant to a company that was focused only on telephone captioning. And we've been focused on trying to improve the quality of captioning for telephone communications. And we've seen some progress. There's a little bit of progress being made with telephone captioning, but I think as in all areas, it's not perfect yet. Accurate captioning on the phone is very important for obvious reasons. Talking with friends and relatives is one reason, but more importantly, accuracy is imperative when you're talking with your medical provider, your lawyer, your accountant, among others. If your doctor tells you one thing and you misunderstand it, it could actually be fatal if you're not careful. I am talking to my healthcare provider by phone. If I'm talking to my healthcare provider by phone, I make sure my wife is with me so that I can use her as my interpreter just in case I miss them. I mentioned earlier to Jen and the others that I recently had some medical issues, and my doctor called several times, but my doctor knew that I had a hearing impairment. So when she called my wife's phone so that my wife would be able to make sure that I understood what the doctor was talking about. And we didn't want to rely on the captioning only because it is not 100% accurate. It's more accurate when you have live captioners, which I really appreciate having the live captioning because the artificial intelligence captioning has a long way to go, actually. I rely heavily on captioning for TV, which I admit I watch too much of. I am a news junkie and can never get enough political news. Excuse me. TV captioning is terrible and probably worse than telephone captioning. I challenge you out there to watch particularly a live cable news show with and without sound. You will soon see what I'm talking about. There are multiple delays, and when they try to catch up, they go so fast that you can't keep up with the speed of the captioning. So it's almost a moot issue because you're losing everything. And the other thing that recently came to my attention that I never realized was the importance of punctuation. And a lot of TV captioning does not have punctuation. So there's run-on sentences, run-on paragraphs, and it becomes very frustrating. How did I get involved with the Global Alliance? As I mentioned, I was doing some work on telephone captioning, and I saw an announcement on LinkedIn that the Global Alliance, which I had heard about because they were a member of the group that I was working with, and they announced through LinkedIn that they were looking for new board members. I responded by nominating myself, and about a little over 2 years ago, I was selected to serve, and my term expires. But I've been with the Alliance now for almost the entire 3 years of their experience and have watched them grow. My entire life post-Vietnam has included involvement with nonprofit organizations. I was employed by one for 28 years. I have been a volunteer, a financial donor, a board member of several, and still am, and a member of advisory councils on some, and still am on some of those. I was chair and founder of one. I chaired for 4 years, one of which I was a founder, that started right after 9/11. I tell you this to set the stage for what I am about to say about the founders and leaderships of the Global Alliance. I am not a newbie to this business of nonprofit world, and certainly not an expert, but I have enough experience to tell you that I have, observed and learned a lot these past few years. As you know, the Global Alliance is but 3 years old. We do not have a full-time staff. We do not have a lot of money. We do not have a lot of members. What we do have is the smartest, hardest working, dedicated people I have ever had the honor of working with. They do all this work as volunteers and also hold down full-time jobs or run their own business. They amaze me on a daily basis. One of the first things I learned when I joined the board was I didn't know what I didn't know. I had little knowledge about the deaf and hard of hearing community, despite my whole adult career has been working in the disability community. I knew about and was a little familiar with TTY back in the old day, CART, and captioning, but I knew what I needed to improve my quality of life. I thought erroneously that captioning was captioning, and that was far from the truth. There are several forms of captioning, and I still don't know how many or what they are or how they differ. My bottom line has been quality captioning for me. That means accurate and real lifetime captioning. My guess is if that's what's important to me as a deaf or hard of hearing person, those of you that are out there that are deaf or hard of hearing that are relying on the captioning today know what I'm talking about. I'm sad to say that in spite of all of our technology, we are not there yet. In spite of the Americans with Disabilities Act being 32 years old, we still have a long way to go on a lot of issues facing people with disabilities, including those of us who are deaf or hard of hearing. The Global Alliance is positioned to help rectify that, but can't do it with volunteers alone. We need staff. And in order to bring on staff, we need financial support. We need your financial support. We need your membership. We need your donations. We need your network to help raise awareness. We need you to follow and support us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We need you to support us on your social networks. We need your help, pure and simple. In conclusion, I want to thank my fellow board members for their understanding, their patience with me, and perhaps most important to me was they listened to me. They paid attention to my concerns. They sought my advice. They made me feel welcome and important. I thank them for that, and I will always be grateful for them for this experience. I am leaving the board in a couple of weeks, but will continue serving on the membership and education committees. Please join me. Thanks again for being with us this morning, and have a great weekend.
Ron, you bring tears to my eyes. It's been a true pleasure getting to know you and having you on the board, and I am proud to call you a friend. And I'm glad that you're not going too far, even though you're leaving the board. Thank you so much. You might ask yourself, who or what is the Global Alliance of Speech-to-Text Captioning? The Global Alliance is the only organization that combines service providers and consumers together to advance the captioning profession. It takes both groups to help affect change and improve the quality of captioning everywhere in the world. As an organization, we host Empower Hours, an informative hour on different topics that may cover a wide range of topics. These events are free and have ASL as well as human-generated captioning. Upon completion of our post-production captions, we then upload them to our YouTube channel so that they can be shared. If you have questions about CART captioning in a medical setting or how telecommunication relay services work, please check out our YouTube channel. We have another one planned for the end of this month on the different streaming platforms and how captions integrate into them, or don't integrate into them. So stay tuned to our social media or our newsletter for more information. Of course, the best way to get informed about all of our activities is to become a member. As Ron mentioned, we need your help to do all of this good work. The reality is that the general public is unaware of who needs captioning and why. Hearing loss is that invisible disability, so our work will never be done. I hope you will consider joining us today. The new Captioning Quality Task Force is going to start their big initiative in the next few weeks. And by big, I mean giant. This is an initiative that was brought to the board by Kimberly Shea. After a short explanation of the plan and the goals, the board voted to move forward. This task force will gather data from broadcast captioning in different markets across the United States. The data will include human-generated as well as automatic speech recognition captions. The samples will be graded for accuracy based on the NER model. Television networks may claim they are abiding by the Federal Communication Commission's guidelines. As an unbiased organization, we will gather data and determine what the accuracy rates are in different markets. The Global Alliance represents all forms of captioning, and that's what makes us unbiased. Our only goal is improving the quality of captioning for those who need it. And I mentioned the NER model. What is that, you ask? The Global Alliance has a certification program called the NCSP, the NER Certified Speech-to-Text Provider. Anyone can sit for this exam, steno captioners, voice writers, as well as an ASR recognition engine. The certification is based on the real-world scenario that captioners face every day. The NER stands for Number, Addition, Recognition. It was a model that was researched and is used in other parts of the world to assess captioning accuracy. And it was created by one of our initial board members, Pablo Romero Fresco. We use the NER model to grade for accuracy on our NCSP certification. And why is certification important? It proves to consumers or companies hiring you that you're using a product that you or the product have the requisite skills to provide accurate captioning. Think of any professional that you hire when you're looking for a doctor, a lawyer, a financial advisor. You look to make sure they're qualified. And how do you do that? You look at their qualifications and certifications. So check out our website. We've got frequently asked questions about all things regarding the certification. I hope you'll check it out and consider registering today. Okay, enough of this business stuff. It's time to get the party started. This is a celebration after all. It's my privilege to introduce to you Gail Hannon. Gail was one of our original board members of the Global Alliance 3 years ago. I was honored that she accepted that position then, and I'm honored that she's joining us today. She is a renowned humorist, author, and speaker on hearing loss issues. Her hearing health advocacy, which includes awareness, programs, comedic dramatic performances, and writing, helps to aid people better understand the life with hearing loss. Gail has an international following for her weekly articles for Hearing Health and Technology Matters, and the writing, which includes 2 books, her critically acclaimed The Way I Hear It, A Life with Hearing Loss, and the recently published Here and Beyond, Live Skillfully with Hearing Loss, co-authored with Sherry Eberts. Gail has profound hearing loss and is bimodal, using both a hearing aid and a cochlear implant. She resides with her husband, Doug, also known as the hearing husband, on Vancouver Island, where they live in hope of visits from their children and grandchildren. Gail, thank you so much. Over to you.
Thanks, Jen. It is a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. My name is Gail Hannon. I have silver hair, hard-earned wrinkles, and I'm wearing a red top with red feathers. I'm delighted to talk about the life with hearing loss, especially with you, with the captioning access community, because you help us on our hearing loss journey to make the life livable, easier, etc. Because hearing loss changes lives, and I know it changes lives because if I didn't have hearing loss, I would be married to someone else and my son would look very different. And I know this because at least one other fellow in my past indicated that he wanted something more permanent with me, but I'm just not sure that I heard him correctly. So I'll tell you more about that later. The life with hearing loss is usually a long one. Once we get it, it usually lasts as long as we do. It is the gift that keeps on giving. But just because we have it for a long time doesn't necessarily mean that we get good at it. I mean, I wasn't, at least for the first few decades of my life. People with hearing loss can become very skilled at ignoring their own needs. They devise ways to hide their condition. And worst of all, they meekly put up with inaccessible conditions simply because they don't know how to make it otherwise. They don't know what questions to ask. And even worse, they don't know that they're allowed to ask for accommodations such as captioning. To move forward, people with hearing loss have to start looking in the mirror and take back control and say, all right, this is my life now. What am I going to do about it? And how am I going to do that? Growing up and as an adult, all I really knew is that I read lips and eventually got a hearing aid, which I'll talk about, and that I had to see stuff in order to understand it. That is why captioning in all of its forms is crucial to me. You know, it's only now looking back that I realized, and I'm talking from an enlightened point in my life right now, looking back, I realized how I hated having hearing loss. I felt inferior because of it. I felt lesser than. And I didn't know that for the longest time. But it all changed in a series of related aha moments when I hit 40, that I started living more skillfully with my hearing loss, which is part of the title of my new book that I will also talk about in a bit. Life as a person with hearing loss really changed for me when I changed my goal. My goal had always been, I want to hear better. When I changed my goal from simply wanting to hear better to communicating better, that made all the difference in my life. And better communication just doesn't involve hearing. It involves all sorts of things. And better communication also involves, for me and people like me, my people, all forms of visual interpretation, such as captioning. Do you like how I keep working captioning into this? And there's a reason for that, because it is crucial to me. A little bit about my background. I was born with congenital hearing loss, bilateral, sensorineural, all these long words. And it wasn't diagnosed until I was 2.5, which was very typical in the pre-technology times, the dark age, as I call it, when language first started kicking in. My mom was a nurse, and she recognized that something going on with this little adorable daughter of mine. She's either very stubborn, behavioral issues, or something else. Well, it turned out to be something else. It turned out to be hearing loss. Growing up without a hearing aid, because doctors didn't want me to get one. At that time, I was born in 54, way long ago, and it was mild, my hearing loss at first. And the doctors felt that the big body aids at the time would not only not help me, but might be detrimental. And it wasn't until I left home and was on my own for the first time and realized, without my mom and dad telling people she has hearing loss, telling my teacher, I had to be on my own. And I realized I don't hear very well. I need help. I'm going to try one more time. I went to another doctor, got a hearing aid, and it changed my life. So I wore a hearing aid. It's fine. Didn't do much more beyond reading lips and using my hearing aid until I reached the age of 40. And I was expecting a baby. And wow, all of a sudden, for the first time, my hearing loss, it meant that I I was going to be responsible for someone. I was going to be a mom. So I was worried, quite frankly, that, I was worried about how my hearing loss would affect my baby. Like, how would I hear him crying in the night? Well, any mom, with a partner understands the answer to that one. Baby cries, your partner jabs you in the ribs, says, baby's crying, and up you get. But what if I didn't hear him blow up? What if I didn't hear him burp? Would he blow up? I was seriously worried about these things, and I had no one to give me answers. So for the first time, I reached out to other people with hearing loss, a life-changing decision. And I went to a conference of the Canadian Hard of Hearing Association, the equivalent of the Hearing Loss Association of America. And I went to a conference. I went in one person and came out another person. It was transformational. Everything that I felt about my hearing loss was out the window. And some of my key takeaways that I developed, that was the seed of it, but what I developed was I learned that I have to be honest about my hearing loss. That meaning telling you I have hearing loss, or here in this moment now, I'm not following what you're saying. I need to learn about my hearing loss. What will help me? What do I need? And then I have to communicate my needs to other people. Perhaps one of the more difficult aspects of learning to become a good person with hearing loss. And finally, I need to be an advocate, which I have done ever since that day. Another key takeaway is that you, a person with hearing loss, have the right to participate. You have the right to hear and be heard. So many people go, well, I don't want to bother people with my hearing loss, or, these negative attitudes that stop us from getting the help that we need. And one of the key mind shift that in my book that we talk about, Sherry and I, is I have the potential to change my hearing loss journey. And the person with the most power to do that is me. And another key important thing, I used to fight against my hearing aid, even though I needed it. I learned that technology is my friend, all forms of technology. My first captioning experience, it was just before I went to that conference. As part of the conference, I was asked to speak to a group of people with hearing loss who it turns out knew far more than I did. And it was there, I was on the podium, and there were two screens with captioning. I had never seen this before. And I kept looking sideways to look at the captioning. And finally I said to the audience, would you just give me a moment with myself here? And I turned and I talked to the screen, and my words came out visually, and I had tears in my eyes. I keep talking about transformational moments, but that's what it was. All of these things that I never had, and made my life easier from that point. I became an advocate. It became what I did. It became my passion. That, and of course, my new baby, who I never did harm because of my hearing loss, I don't think. I asked him once, but he said, no, it was fine. My goal was to help raise awareness of the impact of hearing loss on our lives, the emotional impact, so that we could accept it more. This is back in the 90s. Don't forget, this is when things were hearing loss was really coming out of the closet. I started writing. I started performing. Theater was my background. I wrote comedic, dramatic performances, telling stories to help people understand, including the hearing people, to understand our hearing loss. Because my hearing loss isn't just mine. It's my husband's, it's my son's, it's my friend's. And we all understand it together so that we can communicate together. My first book, called The Way I Hear It. I had always wanted to write a book. Took me a long time, but I did write it. And I'm gratified that it turned out to be really struck a note with those who read it. Knowing that we're not alone is a big thing in living successfully with our hearing loss. But as soon as I published this book in 2015, I knew that I wanted to write another one. My book was just one of a number of memoir books with hearing loss. I wanted to get back to the strategies. The first book I ever read about hearing loss, it said, hearing loss can cause isolation. You might get depressed. This is what a cochlea is. This is what a hearing aid is. I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to get to the strategies. How can we live better with our hearing loss? What do we need to know? What would I have liked to have known back in the days as an adult when I was trying to live and work and love with hearing loss? So I reached out to Sherry Eberts, whom many of you might know, an amazing advocate, and asked her if she'd like to partner. The strategies and tips are a key focus of Sherry. So we spent the entire first 2 years of the pandemic writing this book together on Zoom and Google Docs. And we just saw each other for the first time in 3 or 4 years at the end of March when we went at a conference together. And then when we launched our book in May. So it was a joyous collaboration of writing about everything that we knew, writing the book for our younger selves. And it's called Here and Beyond, How to Live Skillfully with Hearing Loss. But what does that mean? How to live skillfully? Just 3 steps. The first step to living skillfully is knowing what to expect. It's what we call the big picture. Because if you don't know where you're going, it's pretty hard to get there. And this is part of the piece of the puzzle that we don't get from our hearing healthcare professionals as often as we should. And I know that's changing. But understanding the big picture allows us to see that ups and downs are part of the process. It takes time to adjust to devices. And if they don't work right away, that's not a failure. It's just part of the journey. So understanding the emotions of hearing loss, everything that you can expect. The second step to living skillfully is embracing a series of strategies, what we call it, the 3-legged stool, with a single targeted purpose of improving communication. And there's 3 parts to the second part, the 3 legs of the stool. The first is changing our attitudes about hearing loss. Like I mentioned, when I shifted my goal, when I realized that I had the right to participate, wow, it was like a big weight off of me. And we can carry, not everyone, but most of us do have some built-in biases against hearing loss that go back centuries. And moving from negative to a more positive, actionable position towards our hearing loss makes the world of difference. And we call these mind shifts. And I mentioned a couple of them earlier. The one person with the most power in this hearing loss journey is me. Knowing that you're not alone and understanding these things makes a difference. The second leg of the stool is embracing technology. And this includes traditional devices like hearing aids and our cochlear implants and all the apps, amazing apps. Like my cell phone is I should have it strapped to my body because it connects me in so many ways to communication, accessories, and then again, captioning on my phone everywhere. And the third leg of the stool are the interpersonal, non-technical strategies that can be used to improve listening situations. Things like identifying as a person with hearing loss. Hey, would you mind speaking up? I'm not understanding. Self-advocacy, speech reading, and not bluffing. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a passionate anti-bluffer. It doesn't mean I don't do it. If you have hearing loss, you bluff. It's so easy to tune out and lose track of the conversation. So you smile, you copy other people, you interject little comments like, really, to make people think you're following when you have not got a clue. But I know from experience how bluffing can cause problems in your life. And I'm going to tell you two stories, a yes story and a no story. And I'm going to start with a no story. A million years ago, back in my 20s, I was living in Vancouver, and I was dating this nice guy whose name I can't remember. So we'll just call him this nice guy. So this nice guy and I had been going out, and one night we went for a walk along the beach at night. So any person with hearing loss would go, whoa, yeah, that's not a good situation. You're walking in the same direction, very hard to speech read. It's dark. You can't speech read anyway, even if you could see his lips. And there's waves rolling in, which kind of interferes with the speech frequency. So we're walking along, and this nice guy says something, and I didn't catch it. Now, I don't know. Maybe I had said pardon all night long, and I didn't want to do it again. So it sounded to me like it was one of those closed-ended questions where the answer was yes or no. So I figured 50-50 I was going to get it right. So I picked one, and I went, no. Well, right away, by the look on the nice guy's face, I knew that was not only the wrong answer, but not the expected answer. So now, the me now, I would say, oh, I'm sorry, nice guy. I may have misheard you. Would you mind repeating yourself? But not me, not back then. I repeated, no. End of relationship. And to this day, I have no idea what that nice guy asked me, but I can guess. He could have said something like, I really like you, Gail. Do you like me? No. Or, we've been going out for a while now, Gail. It's going great. Don't you think? No. Now, even though I can't remember the nice guy's name, I do remember that I liked him, and I was really upset at the end of the relationship that I caused. I'm not sure how, because I don't know what he asked, but I bluffed. Fast forward a bunch of years, and I was with another nice guy whose name I know. His name is Doug. And Doug and I had been together a while, and we were living together. Everything's going tickety-boom. So one morning, I woke up, and in the morning, people like me, when we wake up, we don't have our devices on. We don't have our contact lenses in. We're just a little vulnerable in terms of communication. But I opened my eyes, and there he is, one pillow away, pretty close. I can speech read that far away. And this is what I saw. There was no sound. I mouthed, let's get married. So I went, I'm thinking I might have thought back to that other guy, but I thought, well, this seems important. I'm not going to muck this one up. So I verified and clarified, which is a very good strategy. To, if we're not sure we've heard something. They said, Doug, I think I just saw your lips say, let's get married. Did your lips just say, let's get married, Doug? And he said yes. So I said yes, and we did. So there was a happy ending. But, I could have been married to some guy in Vancouver whose name I don't know. But instead, I'm married to Doug, the hearing husband. We just had our 31st anniversary. So bluffing will get you in trouble. And one of the strategies we talk a lot about is bluff less. Stay engaged. Stay present in the conversation and ask for accommodation if you're not following. So anyway, the third step to living skillfully is putting it all together. Everything we've learned about the journey, our three-legged stool strategies, all these interpersonal things, and apply them to every area in our life. And that's what our book is about. It's about living skillfully with hearing loss and putting communication front and center in your life, because communication is the glue that connects us as people. Hearing loss can affect that glue. It can melt it, but it doesn't have to. if we approach it the right way. So anyway, the book is available anywhere books are sold, paperback, ebook, and within the next year, there will be an audiobook. You know, some people who don't understand hearing loss goes, an audiobook for people with hearing loss? Even my son said, oh, I get it. It'll be like chapter 1, everything spoken loudly. That was a joke. Well, but anyway, we're really thrilled with the response to Here and Beyond. People are telling us that this is the book that they need. So I hope that that you will get it and you will read it. And if you enjoy it, share it with people in your life who have hearing loss or who are impacted with hearing loss. So I just want to say thank you for having me be part of this great event. I'm just grateful for all that you do in making communication access available for people with hearing loss. So thank you, and thank you for letting me be part of your day.
Gail, I absolutely love communication is the glue that connects us as people. It leaves me speechless. It's so very true. Thank you so much for all of your insights. And I just found everything super powerful. I dare say everybody knows somebody with hearing loss. Whether the person with hearing loss knows they have hearing loss is a different story. But I bet we all know somebody with hearing loss. And when you said you walked into the conference, one person, and walked out transformed in a different person, I can relate to that. So I hope that the captioning community, the communication community, all bands together to make advances in accurate and quality captioning. I'm also glad to know that you didn't blow up your son and that he turned out all right and that he looks the way that he does. So thank you so much for sharing all of your experiences. We have one last piece of business before we wrap up our celebration, and it wouldn't be a party without prizes. So here's what we're giving away. These prizes are a result of the Fitness Fundraiser Challenge, and they are a candle package that was donated by White Light Candles. White Light Candles is owned by our chair-elect, Julia Emerson. Included in this prize is one lip reading concepts class registration donated by Hearing Loss Live. Combined, this prize is worth $100. The next prize includes a copy of Gail and Sherry's new book, Here and Beyond, Live Skillfully with Hearing Loss, as well as one lip reading concepts class registration donated by Hearing Loss Live. Combined, this prize is worth almost $70. Thank you, Gail, and thank you, Hearing Loss Live, for your donations. We are greatly appreciative. And the last prize we will give away is a $200 Amazon gift card donated by Global Alliance member Rip Wilson. Rip, thank you so much for your generous donation. And Gail, I'm going to let you do the honors.
All righty then. The winners are the Candles and Lip Reading Concept class goes to Jen for raising the most money by an individual. Thank you, Jen. And the copy of my book and Lip Reading Concept class goes to Kimberly Shea for the most social media posts using hashtag moving captions forward. And the $200 Amazon gift card goes to Ron Drack for the largest individual donation. Ron donated $500 to Kimberly Shea's fundraiser. So congratulations, everyone.
Gail, thank you so much for doing the honors, and thank you for joining us today. I had fun. I hope everyone else did too. Please consider joining the Global Alliance and help us create universal accessibility to the spoken word via all forms of captioning. I would like to thank one last time our captioner today for the live streams, Christine Ailes, NCSP, our interpreter, Jessica, our behind-the-scenes captioner, Jessica Spriggs, who has been captioning our green room today for Ron and Gail. Michelle Michaels, board member, and Jennifer Pearson, committee member, for handling the chats online today in both YouTube and Facebook. And to the fundraising committee, this was a lot of hard work to get this event put together. Thank you all for your commitment. And to Gail and Ron for providing valuable insight to what it's like to understand what it's like to live with hearing loss. And to our partners at Access Loop for making this event live on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Mark, you're handling the cameras, the sound, the streaming. You are a one-man show behind the scenes, and we could not have done this without you. Thank you all for joining. Till we meet again.